right, so Chris, yeah, I can't believe this. He's ready to topple ED, and also Chris's wife breaks his silence. It's quite interesting the days that we are heading on. Very, very much interesting. You also have seen that the attorney that represented Xavier Kasukure last year is the very same attorney that is representing Chris Mutsvangwa's son. Quite interesting days ahead. So Chris is alleging that there is a third force that is fighting him that want to separate him and President Emerson Mnangagwa, a third force. Now everyone is asking, which one are you calling third force? Because we know this VP Chiwenga will also have a VP Mohadi. So which third force are you referring to? But we're going to be looking into more details right now. So I want to say, if it's your first time to come across this channel, please do yourself a favor and subscribe. Make sure that you ring the bell so that every time I'm live, you'll be notified immediately. I want to say also shout out to my regulars, those that always stick around so that we can have fun. Come over, guys. We need to have a chat. Very interesting days ahead. So I'm going to ask you guys to like the live so that we push our algorithm and invite everyone else to this conversation. Okay, so the question of the day. Do you think it's wise for couples to work for one company? I'm not talking about when they're owning the company. I'm talking about working under a certain supervision. Do you think it's wise? Okay, I'm going to send some shout out to Elizabeth. And there's also Mr. X, my head to here, Tapera. Good to see you. What's up? I want to hear your opinion as well. Please share as much as you can, but again, respectfully. What an interesting times that we are heading in Zimbabwe. Very, very interesting times, honestly. Very interesting times. Now, guys, everyone has been asking, what is different? What is really the definition of democracy? Because when we say democracy, we want a democratic country. What are we referring to? Because our people keep saying, no, but we are a democratic country. But the question is, what do you really mean? Because we don't see no democracy in the country. We are not seeing any democracy in the country. So let's just listen quickly here from Sizwe with the definition of democracy, because I don't think we understand what that really means. You know what I mean? I don't think we do. Okay, when I'm saying I don't think like Africans really understand what that means. Okay, just hold on. You know what happened? So today when I was minding my business, very important, I came across this song. I don't know if you guys heard this song where they were saying that God will come back, and I want to play that song for you, please, while I'm getting to the details that I need here. Please. So they're saying that let me just tell you one thing you actually do not understand is that there's so much saying than with the urban and the rural as well. So the rural folks are said so change it. They're saying God so you know who are they referring to when they say God? Of course we know what God is, but that's what they are saying. They said they are not backing down. Everyone is saying it is time for us to close this chapter of the abuse of ZANU-PF. So I'm glad that there's a lot going on within the parameters of the camp, which is the faction in ZANU-PF. Very interesting. So I want to look at the element of the third force that Mutsvangwa is referring to. Third force. The last time I checked this president, Emerson Mnangagwa, we have two vice presidents, which is Mohadi and Chiwenga. So when they're saying the third force, I'm sure they're referring to Kasukuire's force. Again, I told you earlier on that Kasukure Satori is the one that is representing Mutsvangwa. So when Mutsvangwa is saying there's a third force that is coming that wants to separate me and Mnangagwa, what is that supposed to mean? Are they just politicking? Simply politicking. Okay, so let's listen to the definition of democracy, please.
Definitions of democracy where you don't have a democracy until you've had a change in government. So we call ourselves a democracy, but we don't actually know whether we're a democracy or not, because you only know that you're in a democracy when government changes, and we've never had a national change of government. So we think we're a democracy, but we'll see, right? And that's so profound. Yeah, and I think we need to change government to create that feeling of accountability, not because I'm anti-ANC or pro-ANC, but because incumbency has its own sense of lethargy. And I think part of the problems that we're experiencing in communities and the lack of accountability is that we just have this incumbent that is impervious to people's criticism. So let's see what happens when we change and whether our democracy is able to respond. And that'll send a message to incumbents that you're not going to be in power forever. There are certain definitions of...
That's so powerful. So the definition of democracy is bigger than simply people claiming that we've won election. We've seen what ZANU-PF has been doing over the years. Democracy means, the changing of government. Just having completely different party leading. So people don't feel too comfortable in those space, like what has been happening. That's why I'm afraid when I hear the third force. I'm like, hold on. I just pray that third force, including the people. You know what I mean? I'm happy if it's the third force that will say citizens, then we're good. But if it's all these gimmicks and games within ZANU-PF, I'm not interested. I still believe that the will of the people should reign in Zimbabwe for things to normalize. The people in the center, Zimbabweans has to be at the center of all. Because one thing that I realized that there's quite a number of people who are desperate for jobs. I said a number of people who are desperate for jobs and they're just waiting for any opportunity for them to actually find their way. We don't want people who are desperate for jobs. We want people who are there to serve, who says, hey, I have my business, I've got my life going on. All I want is just to be a blessing to the people of Zimbabwe. Those are the people that we want. So if you think you can come from there and just think you can go to the top and be having this position and cause a mess, we don't want you this time. We are very smart now. We have learned from our mistakes. So we are definitely be fighting a demon in Zimbabwe, a demon of people that have not found their purpose, especially the ones that are kind of wig their way into politics. Majority of them have not found their purpose, and the only thing they think of is, politics. If I get into politics, I can be in control. No, we want you to have your purpose. Politics is not your purpose. You're just serving temporarily. Don't be too comfortable. Find your purpose. Why are you here? Why did God send you into this world? He did not send you to come and abuse people. No, that wasn't. Today I got a shock of my life. I said a shock of my life. I'm going to read this message that was sent out by Shelton Wende. He said, just visited a school in Kwazana today. School agents need help to provide at least a meal a day to learners. 20 to 30 students faint daily because of hunger. I would like to appeal to people who can help by donating any of the items listed directly to the school or to contact me. This is Shelton Wende, the one that we've been like kind of having a stretch with recently, talking about how they actually sabotaged the will of the people. He's coming back to us and asked that, guys, please, can you come and help? Children are fainting at school. There's no food at Kwazana school. 20 to 30 kids. I'm talking about 20 to 30, maybe that's students, so they're not kids. Guys, listen, hold on. We are referring to 20 to 30 kids are fainting daily at school because of hunger. The last time I checked, President Mnangagwa was on record confirming that we have food to feed our people. The level of deception that is in this nation, I can't stand it. This is why I still believe that the only way that will rescue our nation is to have a free, fair, and credible election where people are being held accountable. Because this thing of saying I can, just find my way to the front, no, it comes with its own consequences. And this is quite very sad. It's very sad, disappointing, honestly. Now, I don't know how Wendy is feeling. I don't know how he's feeling right now that he knows that students are fainting at school. 20 to 30, that's a huge number of kids because they don't have food to eat at school. Very heartbreaking. So there's mealie meal, cooking oil, beans, rice, matemba. If you can help, guys, please get hold of these guys. Don't send money, okay? In 2024, you can order food. Please buy food in numbers, put it on the buses. If you're in South Africa, send it home. There are kids that are dying of hunger. We cannot throw away food. Let's help one another. Honestly, this government needs to go like yesterday. They have to be gone like yesterday. All right, so you also have seen that Neville did not get the bail. So he's going to be locked up till the 30th. We don't know what's going to happen on the 30th of May. This is quite interesting. Some people are being sympathetic with Neville, and I'll tell you what are their reasons. So, first person who sent a message was actually Xavier Kasukure saying, exiled former youth. Okay, that's another paper. It's called the COZWVA that is reporting. It's their pages on X saying that exiled former youth empowerment minister Xavier Kasukure is suggesting that the government should consider giving Neville Mutsvangwa a Bureau de change license. He said Mutsvangwa built Mumba money on his own. When laws are personalized, we create criminals out of youngsters who are hustling. So for me, I'm like, hold on. Neville is not the only one who is arrested on the issue of currency. Remember, there are also a number of young men who are in prison as we speak, especially men, which breaks my heart. These men are simply trying to feed their children. But they're in prison as we speak because we're caught changing money, again, breaking the law. So what makes Neville different from the other kids? I don't know what is it. I still believe that if other people are still in prison, he also supposed to be in. If they're getting the bail, all of them should get bail. But at the same time, we must also understand that it is a right of every citizen to get bail and be proven guilty. But there seems to me like the state has its own reasons, and one of the reasons is that he can leave the country. Since he has so much access to diplomacy, the father has been in China, as an ambassador, he's got very close allies in America. So, the state is saying they are not comfortable. But let's see what happens on the 30th. But it's shocking to see him staying in prison for such a long time. But at the same time, I'm happy. Let me explain to you why. Because this is the work of his father and the administration. Because Mutsvangwa is on record at the forefront, always saying, no, we are a democratic country. He's also on record saying, no, our judiciary is not captured. But I'm shocked. He is right now saying that the judiciary is captured. What is that supposed to mean? He's kind of trying to weaken the leadership of President Mnangagwa. Because if you're saying the judiciary is captured, there have been allegations, people, and he was the one at the forefront defending it. But the moment his son gets arrested, now he's seeing that the judiciary is captured. They're using lawfare to keep his son in prison. Deft quoted as well, he said, I express my deep concern about Job Scholar being denied bail for relatively minor charges, and it is important that all those committed to the rule of law and justice be consistent. No one has died, no one is under any physical threat, and it is highly unlikely that this man will become a fugitive from justice. So I cannot understand why bail has been denied to both Mutsvangwa and the other alleged money changers facing similar charges. The default of our courts should be to grant bail unless an accused possesses a physical threat to others or is likely to flee. The denial of bail where circumstances do not exist is fundamental and unjust and must be condemned. The denial of bail should never be used to punish a person who has yet to be convicted of any offense. I'm glad that even people in the opposition are able to say, hey, we understand we have our own differences as far as the leadership of ZANU-PF is concerned. But one thing for sure is that we must respect our laws. Our constitution, allow or afford any citizen to have bail until proven good, which is fair. Fair play. They're right. But I'm glad that we see things differently. If it was ZANU-PF, they'll be celebrating and clapping hands. Remember what they were doing with Job Scholar. With Job Scholar, again, he's going to be speaking, I think, for the United Nations. I saw him taking pictures there. That's where he is, just so that he can be able to share his ordeals under the hands of ZANU-PF. This is quite interesting, but I'm also grateful that people are able to extend grace where it's needed, which shows you that should we come together it's not going to be that difficult for us to forgive each other and move forward. I'm still a firm believer that, keeping pain or keeping hatred, it's you who's dying, than to let it go. It's like poison. You're drinking poison for you to die. Sometimes we have to get to a point where we need to forgive and let go so we can move on. But Susan Mutami, the woman that was in the midst of scandal, who alleged that she had affairs with different ministers. That's why they're not doing the job. They're just busy following after slave queens. How can they work? They can't do the work, She also went on and said, most of you are privy to this information, but it wasn't for Chris Mutsvangwa, who pulled his diplomatic contacts and introduced everyone to China and other influential head of states and members of diplomatic corps. There wouldn't have been a second republic. For a man who sacrificed so much for everyone who is in power today, he could have been killed for treason during Mugabe era. I don't always agree with Chris Mutsvangwa's statements, but let's all remember, Nevo lost a child recently. The young man is still grieving, and when you grieve, you are never the same. The least that all you grown men can do for the young man is help him get a license to his money-changing business, can be legitimized, and also assist with counseling. Chris Mutsvangwa, military people will always carry you on their back, even in a staff up, because loyalty is in their DNA. They don't stitch lanes unless you try to unalive them, like what Mary Mbayo did. You are pointing your finger at the wrong person. Oh, wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. This is Susan Mutami. That's a lot. Okay. First and foremost, I told you yesterday that I'm a firm believer that each and every Zimbabwean should be treated with respect. Notwithstanding who your father is, where you come from, your education, each and every one of us should be treated with respect. What am I referring to? We are sitting with the families that are grieving today because they lost their parents or their children, and no one was accounted for those heinous crimes. I can talk about Itai Zamara. Where is he? So we're actually worried about, hold on, and with all due respect, I still believe that Nevo and other people that are arrested across the board should get bail, right? If they're found worth of the bail. Point number one. But I still cannot agree with the fact that I should bend my rules to accommodate someone because he's the son of a father who have sacrificed himself so that they can be the Second Republic. First and foremost, we're not benefiting much from this Second Republic except poison and pain. So I don't even want to talk about that. These people are living large. They are living large. They could travel the world. Guys, there are children that are orphans today. How can we forget families that are grieving because of ZANU-PF? How can we just wake up and forget? They are not important because they are not someone's father who is a minister. I'm not buying that. I still believe every Zimbabwean needs to be treated with respect. So as much as I extend my grace towards Nevo, I extend my grace towards every Zimbabwean, notwithstanding who your father is and where he stays and what's his name. I do not care. I still believe everyone deserves to be respected in the country. So for those that come in with all the manner of sympathy, please go ahead and extend your sympathy. But I still believe that everyone should be treated the same. We have Job Scala who stayed for how long in prison? You guys did not see it, but all of a sudden, Nevo, the child is dead. Oh, really? Is it the only one? The child is dead. How many people that lost their kids in Zimbabwe? And up to date, ZANU-PF did not even say a word. No, we'll do what's right for everyone. The laws, whatever it's called, should be equal as far as every Zimbabwean is concerned. That would be my take on that one, honestly. And I'm stuck to my guns. It's the right thing or nothing for me. I don't care who your name is or how you look like. I don't care. Where you stay, it doesn't even matter. What's important is treat other people the same way you want to be treated. Okay, so moving on. The news works. Say battle lines are drawn between Constantino Chiwenga and ZANU-PF spokesperson Chris Mutsvangwa of the arrest and the continued detention of his latest son, Neville, son to ZANU-PF spokesperson Chris Mutsvangwa and Women Affairs Minister Monica Mutsvangwa, and two others were arrested last Wednesday for illegal currency trading. They appeared in court on Friday. We also saw that. And today for remand. They were denied bail on the two occasions until 30th of May. The Mutsvangwa family blames Chiwenga for their son's misery. Chris Mutsvangwa yesterday attacked Chiwenga over the issue without naming him. Chiwenga recently warned money dealers with dire consequences. Ironically, Chris Mutsvangwa also did the same, only for his son to become a major casualty. The incident reflects internal power struggles within ZANU-PF between President Emmerson Mnangagwa and his allies, including the Mutsvangwas and the Chiwenga and his military-backed faction. Since Mnangagwa removed the late former President Robert Mugabe through the coup in 2017, ZANU-PF has been a cauldron of political instability, infighting and purges. We have seen it day in, day out. Now, these allegations that Chris is vying for the presidency position, I think I agree with that. I'll tell you why. Because remember last year, there were allegations that he was actually fighting to be the vice president. Because I think he knew that President Mnangagwa's term is ending this term, is the last term for him. So then who is going to be like someone, like the successor? And maybe he compared himself with, with... maybe it was no, hold on, because at that time we didn't have Mohad. Remember, Mohad was resigned from the position, so there was only Chiwenga. So if they needed a second president, he thought he was going to be the other person. So when that did not materialize, there now Mahadi came back, and then Mahadi is now working together with Chiwenga, supporting President Emmerson Mnangagwa. I guess that's where the problem is. So. And Chris is always, he's, honestly, and I give this to Chris. Chris speaks very good English, very eloquent, as much as he's arrogant and very, very, he's an interesting guy. I wanted to use another word, but I think it was a bit harsh. Okay, so he's a very interesting guy. I must give it to him that he's very intelligent. In terms of the words, he just doesn't have morals. When it comes to communicate with people, it's very harsh. I can only imagine if he really has someone who was mentally stable, because I heard that he takes whiskey a lot. And okay, forgive me those that drink alcohol, but I know I've met people who drink alcohol and the way they behave sometimes it don't make sense to me. And I say this with all respect. Yeah. I know whiskey can be something else. I can tell you, I know quite a number of them, are friends closer to me, and I know how they get agitated quickly. I know how they get angry all the time, and I know it's whiskey. It's alcohol. When it messes up with your brain, it does that. So that's the problem with Mr. Mutsvangwa. When he takes whiskey, he is something else. So these allegations, definitely they are emanating from a speech that he gave that was years back. And that I saw circulating today. How people are when something happens, they're quick to pull out your content from the past. So I wanted to take a listen to Chris. He's speaking about how he has done so much in inviting investors to Zimbabwe. He's always talking about his allies with the Chinese people. He also he speaks about you have heard him talk about Manizer. He speaks about the liberation struggle, which has always been his point of defense. The liberation struggle. And people said he was actually very young, but he's always acting like he was at the forefront when everyone is at the back. It's like he was the one that negotiated at the Lancaster House, but no. But this dude, he knows how to manipulate people. Chris knows exactly how to manipulate Zimbabweans. But take a listen to his speech, and then we can talk from there.
Which was happening on our economy is that it remained a colonial economy without being properly managed in the financial sector. The way Rhodes introduced a false currency into Zimbabwe, in a country which had for 1,000 years traded in gold, strongest currency, then said the currency now traded in false currency, removing gold, meant that everybody was hemorrhaging, taking money out of Zimbabwe, rather than making people Zimbabwe prosper. And that continued until the fateful day of June 2020, when they thought that Zimbabwe was going to be inflation near goal again, and people were going to get into the streets and demonstrate against President Mnangagwa because the currency is collapsed. Remember 31 July last year. But our president, as a young man, he went to war. Among the first recruits ever of an army which didn't exist, he is like that so he has a vision. So if you could see that army could eventually be big, because it's an Mutsvangwa from my university, 100,000. He sees further than anybody. He is very astute. In June, when they thought the current would collapse, the president moved and put statutory influence. They were the ones who enumerated the country out of its panics. Every day is what we do, right? It is secure. He dealt with the stock exchange and a particular big company which I won't mention. He closed that stock exchange. And from that day, the bucket which was leaking suddenly all the holes covered. Our currency is stable. Now it is moving from being stable to appreciation. For those who know me, I'm the founder of the digital economy. Not economic, switch signal stuff. Internet switching stuff. South Africa digital, I know the science and technology sector, that's like the second from Boston. I'm talking about what I know and what is happening. Our armies are so entwined for historical reasons. But the one time when the South African Air Force was having challenges integrating black pilots, President crash. So they went to Pakistan. So the Pakistan you know what we did? We sent a contingent in the waterproof to get trained at the South African Air Force. Although they had better planes, more superior planes, ours were more seasoned. So we are very close with two armies. We are going to be together in Mozambique to deal with many sectors of our comrades of Mozambique. Incidentally, in 2017, the Americans thought South Africa was going to say it's not a white cup. At the last minute, South Africa got a party chair, Mnangagwa, Mnangagwa, Tanzania, my trenches. I was involved because I flew from here to Cape Town to brief presence. Ukitaure na president munhu makakura na president ndikutaura nawo sasa dzakachamisa but wakapotiwa kachanzi after everything but recommendation yokaramba sasa hangu ndakuda kuti ndione president. You know what I said to you? Ndichamisa unobva kwachivi president vanobva kwazvabva kwachivi kwega hakuna kuti musangane kunokora kumatiro kusangana and muna bishop anonzi Mutendi wepachivi wamakakura naye komadii kuenda patefefa yako pasina kutokerana kuita ndakafunga kuti ndiri kutamba akushaakaenda akaona bishop wayo ndipatichagauira kuti ndiende kwapresident chitaurirana ndakazoona pirimusi ago zvakukuriswa nachana kuti chanisari chaka president vataurane nani nakwachiri ndirisinobvaziva kuti president chanisari dakuonana napresident kabisira kwachiri usiku
do this first thing in the morning to strip off inches.
You can see what he's saying. He's mocking Chamisa that Chamisa wanted to talk to Edie. And President Mnangagwa, I think Edie is quicker to, that pay for the reason why we are saying Edie, to President Mnangagwa, sir. And then he was told that you can go kwa Chivi. You guys are still from Chivi. I know Chamisa from Guta, right? Guta and Chivi are the same. So you guys can go and speak because you're all from Masvingo. You can go and speak in Masvingo. There's no need for you to actually discuss that issue in Harare. That's what he's saying. But They're talking about giving his own resume, what he did, the way he brought Chinese investors in the country, the relationship that he has with America, and the work that he did during the coup. So people are saying he's not going to give up that easily. Knowing ZANU-PF, I just think, honestly, I think they're just kind of playing President Mnangagwa. All of them are playing him. They're acting like they're not together, but in the end, I think they're trying to block the dynasty. In my opinion, I think they're just working together to block the dynasty. But let's take a look at this analysis. Very important from Matebuk again. Brighton, shout out to you, man. Great analysis. He said, why Neville Mutsvangwa's bail denial is likely to be further confirmation of escalation of the feud. The most likely outcome has been confirmed, namely that Neville Mutsvangwa has been denied bail, retained to Reeds, raised in a life of privilege, comfort, and opulence. It is clear that he is going to find the whole experience traumatic. Agreed, extremely traumatic. Such children tend to struggle to adapt in such situations owing to difficulties with coping with stressful situations. Mental and emotional resilience is likely to be threadbare. This is something his parents would also be aware of, thereby condemning the whole family to weeks of anguish, misery, and intense of pain. The established precedence in the Zim legal system is that magistrates tend to be more likely to embrace gatekeeping tendencies as they are more amenable to being dictated to, although the long-running Sikala and Shavangu sagas suggest that the malaise has now spread to the high and the Supreme Courts as well. The expectation is now that Neville's representatives will submit an appeal against the decision to deny him bail at the High Court. Given that Neville is a politically exposed person, given the political intricacies in the case, it's rank naivety to think that the case will be looked at free from political interference. One of the twists in the case is that Neville is being represented by the colleague, like I mentioned earlier on, Sunday. Theoretically speaking, Neville, his parents are free to choose a legal representative of their choice. Okay, that's legally fair play. Realistically speaking, though, given the post we saw from ZANU-PF Patriots on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, the fact that my colleague was bad presidential candidate, Honorable Kasikwere, so official spokesperson and attorney in the August 23rd sham elections, the regime will likely politicize that decision and take a dim view of it, which I said earlier on that I also find it a bit interesting here because the same attorney that represented Kasikwere is representing Neville. That's why I'm thinking maybe it's kind of the game is very thick, and I'm sure President Mnangagwa can see, there's a lot of deception in Zimbabwe, right? Why do you think you trust this person, that person can betray you? Especially in this political space where there's money, exchange of funds, and people are desperate. I've told you earlier on that I think even ZANU-PF from the faction of President Mnangagwa, they are heavily infiltrated, which I say, I'm not surprised because, this has been their game, infiltrating people. They're infiltrating Chamis. But I think they are heavily infiltrated. When I say heavily, I mean heavily. You will see it. You will see what's going to happen. Then a ZANU-PF is not renowned for objectivity and rationality, and in such situations, given its tendency to be paranoid, that decision is likely to have privately caused eyebrows to be raised, perceived of in conspiratorial terms, thereby potentially reducing the chances of bail being granted. You see, just that move on its own, I really think, of course, because everything is politics, they're like, oh, okay, now they've got moves here. Something's happening. And you also remember when Moda was, he's on record, saying Pasina Kasikwere Namzembe. You remember that? So seeing that the same attorney that was representing Kasikwere and is also representing now, what would you think your guess is as good as mine. It's definitely as good as mine. So in fact, it's likely to have played very badly and hardened attitudes towards Chris. This is because despite the passage of time, ED and his regime have appeared to struggle to deal with the ghost of G40. We all saw, however, the regime's reaction to Tyson's candidacy was. As the regime is dismissive of technical matters such as the attorney-client privilege, its reading will be that by putting their son's fate and Kasukure's lawyer, Chris and Monica have turned their backs on the regime, burned their bridges. The regime will speculate that this saga will draw Chris and Tyson closer together politically, and for this, it's more likely than not that this will be taken out of Nevos via a long drawn-out of remand process, repeated bail denials, and being singled out by Majerigad and Poison official for harsher treatment. Oh my God. Yeah, again, I'm going somewhere. Conclusion, a combination of Chris's outburst, tirade directed at Chiwenga over the weekend, which made headline news, and choosing Sunday to represent Neville means that it's now more likely than not that estrangement will deepen and Chris will be cast aside in the vast political wilderness and left at the mercy of Apex politics predators. It is clearly playing the long game. You would have calculated that Chris is an expendable in the pursuit of a bigger prize. Chris's trade creates additional pressure for ED to put even more clear water between him and Chris, so as to placate a likely deceptive Chiwenga and prove that he does not share Chris's reckless, provocative sentiments. Wow, interesting. Okay. Okay, so these allegations that maybe Chiwenga may be working with Kasukwire, then we have got Chris, who's kind of trying to bash Chiwenga, but at the same time acting like he's on the side of ED. And we must also understand that President Mnangagwa has got the power to actually call the judiciary. He has the power to, you know what I'm saying? He's the president of the country. Especially when they're friends, within the camps of ZANU-PF. I'm just talking about from ZANU-PF, because we have seen Mnangagwa, Jena, we saw a lot of people in ZANU-PF really that should be in prison today. People are saying they will go in prison at the right time and forum, but in the interim, we are talking about, the power that he has if for Novo to be out of, maybe to get bail, but it's not happening. Why? Yeah, it's getting interesting. It's really getting interesting. But based on the tweets I'm seeing every time from Sevia, like from Sevia's campaign guys, I mean the return of Sevia, I've told you it's there. It's clear. They're very clear with what they're saying. All the time they're very much in touch with what's going on in Zimbabwe. You'd be surprised. That's why I'm still questioning. You remember last time when there were allegations that they actually confiscated arms, almost like 30 guns. You remember the story? Guns that were going to Glenview. Do you remember that? And then the following day we hear that, no, those were toy guns. And I was like, hold on. Who doesn't know the difference between a toy gun and a gun? You know what? Yeah, interesting days ahead. And I'm going to pray. I pray for my people. I pray for my people. But you know what? Why all these things are happening? For us as people who are on the other side, we just watch. But because I'm a firm believer, and I'm stuck to my guns of saying, when you saw evil, the problem about a seed is that it's not just going to come out as a seed, it's going to come as a shrub, and you're going to be reaping the multiplication. And I'm still saying to people, Zimbabweans, I hope we are learning from this, especially those that betray the struggle on the side of Chamisa. Hear me out, brothers and sisters. You see what's happening in ZANU-PF there? You have got your chance. Mr. Shavangu, where are you? Hello. While you're driving your Fortuna, it's short-lived. Your time is coming. It's going to rain, y'all. It's going to rain. Heavily rain. So this is to show you that when you are sowing seeds of evil, they will come back to you. So what's going on in ZANU-PF, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, and I was going to be surprised if nothing happened, because I had expectations, and I still have. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think it's just nothing. It's just the beginning. I know most of them are going to pay it heavily because I have expectations. You know why? I know what they've been doing to the innocent people of Zimbabwe, hoping that they will get away with it. It doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. When you sow evil, you reap evil in multiplication. You're going to pay for it. You can't escape. Some people think they're smart. No, you're not smart. You're not smart. So now the question that most people have is, okay, now we see the drama that's going down in ZANU-PF. On the other hand, Chamisa speaking also said that I'm coming back, but he hasn't said anything at all. But because Chamisa knows for sure that the moment he press a button, it's like the moment it's like, well, makambo kandra huku chikafu, huku. Okay, it's because I'm a traditional girl, so I know. Makandra huku chikafu and it. Someone's going to jump. Chamisa is much aware that the moment he press the button, Vanwana go to jump. You understand what I'm saying? They will stand up. They will run with him. He is much aware of that. So that's why he's playing. He's just watching to see what's going on in ZANU-PF. How are they playing their cards? All these infights. He's not a fool. He knows what's going on. But what I am going to say, openly and clearly, is that, guys, we are sick and tired of toxic politics. What we want as the people of Zimbabwe is clear. We want a free, fair, and credible election to choose a leader of our choice. And then, we can start from there, having to look at the constitution and say, what's going on with our constitution? How can we revamp certain things that are not in order for us to move forward? But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not buying any person who is going to think that they can wiggle themselves to the front, cutting corners. I'm not buying it. But what I would respect is, guys, for us to close this chapter of toxicity, ZANU-PF toxicity, and say, hey, yo, we need to fix our country. Let's come together and hire people based on meritocracy. That the people that can sit and do debates, people that we can scrutinize their life. If you are involved in corruption and other the dubious things, if you've got blood on your hands, you have no chance. That's just my suggestion. Then for us to keep on allowing people to come in from the back and do all their drama and we accept it. As Zimbabwean people, we need to put our foot and draw the line in the sand and say, this cannot be allowed, not here. Because I can see it's coming. You can see all these games. There are people who think they can just go to the front. Not again. We learned our lesson. We trusted in 2017. Look where we are today. We must never, Zimbabweans, we must only stand for free, fair, credible election. Then we start from there. But then, having ministers who are good at doing the job, not because you belong to a certain political party, no. Do we have the qualities of leadership? Members of parliament are going to be people need to choose their own members of parliament based on meritocracy. We are sick and tired of toxicity, Zimbabweans, we are tired. So for those who are eyeing on having positions in your dreams, it's not coming. You better get a job or do something with your life. It's not going to come because the new Zimbabwe that is coming is for the people who want to move forward, who are sick and tired. I know Zimbabweans, all of them are sick and tired. Now, I want to read this tweet that was sent out by Finals. Very interesting submissions here. When I saw it and I read it, I was like, okay. I know people have been saying this, but let's hear him out. So he's saying the best bargain chip for the opposition leadership is to accept an offer for the government of national unity. Yes, inadvertently, it's conceding to the fact that ZANU can only be removed through its own internal strife, not elections. Opposition leadership must not lie to the peasants that 2028 God is in it. Remember, this is the same creator watching over the butchering of innocent kids in Gaza and the West Bank. And there was Casas who responded and said, there's no crisis that warrants a GNO in Zimbabwe. That chance was a once-off in 2008 and it will never come back again. And then he responded, he said, wow, I like when you lost. Well, so I like it when you lot say never. Okay, he responded and said, with the removal of sanctions and the sudden change of relations to positive, there is absolutely no change. Machinja should just come and join us. This is actually ZANU-PF supporter, staunch supporter, very staunch, well-known staunch supporter. And he said, Legai tuone ma popcorn. Said, Legai tuone ma popcorn. So I struggle to read, so sometimes bless me. Okay. One thing I'll tell you is government of national unit do not work. Let me explain to you why it doesn't work. You cannot mix darkness and light. Zimbabwe's situation don't need GNU. It needs restart. Restarting means we're going to forget about everything and start having new laws. Looking at our constitution and change so many things. There are people that have too much power that they don't deserve. Especially when it comes to leadership. Guys, we went through a lot with Mugabe. We are not willing to go through this again. That's my personal opinion. No, GNU cannot. We do not want to give power to people that they don't deserve. Because now it's like Zimbabwe is moved based on what someone wants. No, we are not here to give someone what they want. We are here to fix the country. There's a difference. I'm not here to please anybody. I don't think Zimbabweans want to please nobody. We are here to say we want a country that functions for everyone. There's a difference. If a person wants to please other people, no problem. Yesterday I was talking to guys, I was like, hold on. I don't know why some people say we love President Mnangagwa. Fair play. I love Kasugure. Fair play. You love Chamisa. Fair play. You can meet him at his house and have dinner or breakfast. You don't have to be in position for you to love him. So stop hiding behind politics and try to manipulate people. Zimbabweans are not foolish. Enough of using politics to abuse innocent citizens. Enough. If you want to support whoever you want, fair play. But the person doesn't have to be a president. Doesn't have to. So no one has to talk about the GNU. I don't buy the GNU mantra. I buy a restart for Zimbabweans, because all these passes, we have tried them earlier on, they did not work. GNU was done. What it led us? Nothing. Because I know it is still going to fail. So that's why I'm saying the GNU is completely off the table. ZANU-PF as a party, they're nothing but poison to Zimbabwe. Off the table. You know, we need to have free and fair election. We start to wrap up. Then when we get a leader, we can start choosing where to from here. Because everyone is tired, guys. The abuse is too much. Let's do the right thing if we want to move on. Now, there was an interview that was done with the HS TV, speaking to Dr. Musa. Incredible submissions. He was looking at the issue of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Because what we are saying, all of us now, is where to from here. Because we can see the drama and we don't want drama anymore, but we want to move forward. What can we do so that at least we can have a fresh start? That's where we are. But he's looking at how there's a lot of playing that's going on in the background, but citizens are not in the center of this stuff. All that happens is always games between politicians, but Zimbabweans are not being respected. I'm here as a Zimbabwean. I don't know if they even care about my name. I don't even want them to care about my name. I don't really care if they care or not. But I'm saying, Zimbabwe seems like they're no longer existing. What's only existing is people's interest. For politicians, I'm talking about politicians, because remember, politicians don't own Zimbabwe. They do not own Zimbabwe. No one has title deeds to Zimbabwe in this country. Nobody, absolutely no one can say, me, I've got a title deed. Some, they come here in the name of liberation manipulation. We are tired of liberation blackmail. You know, we're tired. Our parents also went to war. There are a lot of war vets in Zimbabwe that went and fought for that country, and they're suffering today. So no one has title deeds, and no one can claim to say, I have done more than the other person. Nobody. I said absolutely no one. So we're going to listen to Dr. Musa here, saying it's important that we need to put citizens at the center. Citizens have to decide what do they really want for this country, not politicians. Politicians are way too comfortable in Zimbabwe. Way too comfortable. Take a listen, please. Politicians are too comfortable.
We have not done too good in that metric. In terms of where we compare, it depends on where we want to place ourselves as a nation. Certainly, we don't want to place ourselves in the league of Afghanistan, Belarus, Iran, Iraq, or any of these countries that we seem to be friendly with. We don't want to classify ourselves in that group. We want to classify ourselves in groups that we would say are torchbearers in terms of human rights practice, in terms of democracy and constitutionalism. We have many reports on Zimbabwe's human rights record, and those reports are not exactly positive, including reports that are before the UN human rights bodies or the African Commission or African Union human rights bodies that Zimbabwe must periodically report to. Unfortunately, those reports don't necessarily paint a rosy picture. Of course, when you look at the government reports, they tend to overstate the positives and downplay the negatives, but the real measure is the lived reality of the people.
So you spoke about 8 mistakes. What are the 8 mistakes, Tom?
One of them is a very topical one at the moment, which is the recall provision in the Constitution. I identified that as a mistake. When we look back at the history of making this Constitution, we know that all the political parties that negotiated that Constitution agreed to it. That was self-serving on the part of the politicians. They wanted to prevent floor crossing, right, by their members of parliament. But we now know, based on experience in the last few years, in the last decade, that clause is wrong. Every party that participated in negotiating that constitution has used that clause. ZANU-PF has used that clause. The MDC, which was led by Morgan Tsvangirai, used it. The MDC, which was led by Watchman Mungile, other organizations like PDP that came after, etc., has used that. And now we are seeing these shenanigans of the moment. That's a mistake in the sense that citizens are a non-factor. Voters are a non-factor in the recall of their MP. That's a misnomer. You can't queue and vote for an individual to represent you, right? And then someone that you may not know who comes and recalls them, and Parliament effects that, and the courts come and support that, like we are having now. So that clause is not proper. In other countries, there are measures that allow citizens to participate, citizens to be consulted. There are certain thresholds in a constituency of numbers that must sign on to say, yes, we are recalling this. That's a mistake. The second mistake I identify was around creating an imperial presidents. Right? I counted the number of times that the word president is mentioned in our constitution, and the figure was staggering. Right? So you find the president being involved in pretty much every other affair of running of government across the three branches of government, and that's a problem. You are creating an all too powerful president, and that doesn't conduce well to a society of shared powers or limited governance, as we call it in constitutional practice. That's another mistake that I identified. Others were to do with issues of proclamation around election dates. You know, we had a lot of debate and noise around when the election would happen, when it would not happen. We had the delimitation challenge before the Constitutional Court, instigated by Douglas Manzola and his party. Other parties then intervened. It was that litigation to do with when the election would occur. I also identified a number of other mistakes, one of them being the presidential age, for instance, which is pegged at 40. I identified that as a problem in the sense that it's exclusionary, benchmarking by what other countries are doing. In this country, anyone above 18 can vote. So you can vote for the president, but you can't run for president when you're 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, only until you are 40. A number of other things that I identified as mistakes, and I understand this because this was a negotiated document, right? It was a compromise document, and in compromise it's give and take, but I thought 10 years down the line, it's a moment for us to have a genuine discussion around what went wrong in our constitution making and what we need to correct. Unfortunately, we have been amending the constitution in the wrong way. We've done 2 amendments so far, amendment number 1 and amendment number 2. All those take away from constitutionalism the basic structure, basic fabric of the constitution, as opposed to aiding to that.
Now there appears to be a deep abyss in this nation, those who believe what ZANU-PF is doing and those who are opposed to what ZANU-PF is doing. Do you think that there could be a convergence where we narrow that abyss and allow citizens to talk to each other?
Absolutely. When these recalls happen, for instance, part of what I stated in one article I wrote was that this shows us the need to put the citizen at the center. Right? Where is the citizen in all these recalls? You don't find them. It's political parties fighting, it's political players, individuals within political parties or across political parties fighting. The court is not hearing the citizen. The parties are not hearing the citizens. Right? So toxicity, political toxicity happens, polarity happens, polarization happens when we allow political parties to run affairs to the exclusion of citizens coming to the table. What we have in this country, the real problem that has created the political logjam that we have is polarization along political lines. Failure to think beyond narrow sectarian political lines, failure to think nation, community, and society beyond individuals and political identity. I am a strong believer in dialogue. I am a strong believer in Zimbabweans coming together and defining what nationhood means, what being Zimbabwean means, above political lines, above any other form of identity, putting the Zimbabwean identity is the number one identity. So I think all this that has happened, all this that is happening, all this that we've been discussing since we started talking, points us to the need to get Zimbabweans to find each other.
But so how does that happen? Because in Chief Justice Malava's statement, he said that when the judiciary fails, then there'll be self-help, right? And right now, there are citizens who believe that the judiciary is not being fair, and now are seeking. They're now enemies within society itself. So how does that happen when we have a problem that is coming from the top and sinking in even into kids in preschool?
We do need the political protagonists of the day to realize the need to create a platform of convergence. Yes, there is a lot of disagreement on many issues, particularly when it comes to power, political power. But certainly there are things that unite us, and we need to find those things, right? We need to find those things and to prioritize those things. Agreement in negotiation and arbitration practice, agreement is reached gradually, right? Starting with the points of mutual convergence, moving into the points where there is less convergence, and finally into the points where people are on opposite poles. People can come together if they realize the benefits of agreeing, starting with the small things. So we need the political protagonists of the day to create a platform that is inclusive, that allow people to come and discuss their problems with a view to find solutions, not to outsmart or outmaneuver each other.
We should take the first step in your view. We should.
For me, it's neither here nor there, right? Anyone can do that. Certainly, the ruling party, the government of the day, has more power to do that. The government, in particular, should find it within itself to create a platform that allows political parties or political players to come together, right, and work out what being Zimbabwean means, what's best for Zimbabweans. You mentioned the courts and what failure of justice or judicial administration or good governance can do, right? When people lose faith in the systems and processes of government, when people lose faith in the efficacy of the constitution, it's true people resort to self-help. If elections don't work consistently, for instance, people will start thinking of alternative ways of putting in place people that they think represent their interests. And those alternatives are not attractive. As I said elsewhere, those are ugly alternatives. And we must by all means prevent them. Right? This breathes life into the need for us to consistently seek to fix what is broken. Right? The solution is not to throw away everything and say our constitutionalism has failed, so let's just leave it to the dogs. Let's throw our hands in the air. There's a lot of resignation among citizens at the moment. Unfortunately, that's in Shona, as we say. We need to avoid that. Right? The solution is for us to come together and fix what we can fix. We don't have to fix everything at once, but we have to start somewhere. Otherwise, self-help is real. That's the birth of what we would call a failed state, a failed society, and none of us want to live in a failed society. We don't want to get there.
A failed society. I think that's where we are right now. It's definitely a failed society. You know, I can't believe that we really can't sit around the table and have a conversation. To me, it's like, it's sad to watch. It's really sad. Guys, we don't have to be friends. Like, we don't have to be friends. Like, that understanding that we can still, like, sit and say, hey, you're which from this party. It breaks my heart when I see the South African politicians hugging each other. But you see them, like, fighting. Do you know in the courts as we speak right now, you know Zuma has been fighting with the ANC, right? Balula on record bastardizing Zuma. But I saw him hugging the daughter. You know why? Because now it's not life. Now we are out of this political sphere. Now we are brothers. because we have been brothers, we are family, we are one people. So I don't understand Zimbabwe's tapindwa nemweya weruzivo, because we can't keep on blaming politicians. If we let me say this to you. There's power in unity and love. That if we begin to love each other and unite, there's nothing even these politicians will do, because they'll lose power. We have the power more than them. Imagine today we are able to sit. Honestly, I can sit with any politician, but I'm still stuck to my guns and tell you who I support. I can sit with Kasukure today and I still tell him I still believe in the leadership of Chamisa. But I'm not his enemy. You understand what I'm not his enemy. I can sit with any politician for own information. I've been sitting with a lot of people you don't even know I do. But I can't mention their names, but I do. But at the end of the day, it's not even about politics. It's about they're still going to be my brothers. There's nothing that's going to change that. I'm a professional. So I'm not being moved by what someone wants, because I know every politician has interest. What am I going to benefit from whatever they're doing? Because remember, it's all about purpose. That's why I want Zimbabwe to function for everyone. But at the end of the day, the fact remains, we still need to talk to one another. You understand? Knowing that, nobody is John is doing well in engineering. That's Peter's doing incredibly well, in investments. Maybe he's a developer. Okay, I'm fine right here. We've got an electrician there. I can call so and so. That's the life that I do know. We don't have to hate each other because you're ZANU-PF or you're Triple or you're whatever political party you belong to. And I know ZANU-PF are the ones who started this whole culture of hatred. And this is why I'm saying to ZANU-PF young people, don't buy it. You cannot keep on blaming the elders for the hatred they've been building. We can change the trajectory. You know why? We can be the generational case cutter. We can be the generational case cutter. Because we're under case. Because generation after generation, are we prepared to leave our children hating someone because they believe in a different view? I can't even believe that I can have my son or my daughter hating someone else because they don't share the same principles or opinions. No. We need to start here by loving each other. And young people, when you're being sent to do evil, don't do it. And that's another problem. No politician will send me to do their dirty work. No, I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because I'm the one that will suffer the consequences, and I'm going to do it. So every Zimbabwean need to say, no. You want to send me to go and do wrong? No, I'm not going to do it. No, thank you. Some people may say, but there is money at play. But guys, how long is that money going to last? That's why I'm extremely disappointed with the way that people behaved last year, especially those that were masquerading as opposition people. How they behaved. Did you know why? You keep on feeding into evil, and it's growing and growing, and it's causing so much. It's like cancer spreading in someone's body. We need a solution, guys. It breaks my heart when I sit with South Africans. I love, and you always see people that follow on my timeline. I know those guys. I know Mupo very well. I've gone to some of his, when he was launching his books and all. I know Sizwe very well, and I've met these guys. I know them, and they sit and have conversations. Why can't we do the same? But they both don't belong to some political party. Sizwe is in the EFF. Mupo is running as a presidential candidate under Arise. When are we going to do the same? Young people, we can't keep on blaming politicians, these older people. We can cut this nonsense and say, not again. We're different. We have to decide what we want to do. I can't really blame today and sit and blame President Mnangagwa for my actions. I can't. Because you know what? I can choose what I want to do for myself. It's like me blaming my father for my actions. I cannot do that. You know why? Because I can make decisions. I'm too grown to blame my daddy. I may have some resemblance, but some of them, trust me, there were some things that I used to do, like what my dad is, because I look like my father. You know what I'm saying? But I had to tell myself, no, girl, you're gonna not to do that. And I have to make a decision. All right? That's what I'm saying. We can start. We can change this nonsense that we are seeing today. It's an embarrassment. in 2024 that we can't sit and have a conversation and still love each other? We're always hating one another. You know, guys, no, I'm not buying it. We can do better. We can do better. Young people, we can do better. Whether you're in ZANU-PF, all of us across the board. And this is why I'm so appreciating of what's going on social media, especially on Twitter. I'm going to be honest, on X, sorry, mind me. You know, I've seen that even those that have been at the forefront of supporting ZANU-PF are also saying, no, we can't do this. That brings so much joy in my soul, because I'm like, you know what? Everyone can see we are being used. We can't be used by politicians. We must never hotspotting hatred. No, we can't. We can't hotspot hatred. Because at the end of the day, they're signing out. They're winding down. You know, because death is going to catch up with them here. And how are you going to look at your brother? Because let me tell you what destiny does. Our destinies are so interlocking. Trust me, someone may be in America right now, and I'm in South Africa here. Someone may be in Canada, because we meet in different spaces and we are fighting and all the nonsense and arguing unnecessarily. But let me tell you what's going to happen. This is an person we meet in Zimbabwe. Maybe one day you're stuck. Maybe I'm stuck with my car, and you will be seeing me, oh, but that's from me here, and help with my tire. But will you help me when I'm having problems? Because I've been fighting unnecessarily. Guys, stop it. We can do better. We must not hotspot hatred. We must never inherit hatred. I wish I could sit down with all the people from ZANU-PF across the board, especially the youngsters. If you can hear me out, stop hotspotting hatred. It's not going to help us in the next Zimbabwe that we are looking towards, because this ZANU-PF madness is going to end soon, actually. We are very close to the end of this nonsense. That's why you can see the way it's heating up. It's like we are signing out. It's going. I say, no, it's ending. It's ending. It's no longer working in 2024. It was working in 1500s. This generation don't buy it. Because you know what? There's so much disconnect with the people. There's no connection. You know, you guys can control whatever you think you control, but in the end, people are going to get fed up. Even those that maybe, if the allegations of that the judiciary is being captured, if these allegations are true, they're going to get to a point where they get fed up of you. There was something that was tweeted today, very important, that one was so important. And the person was talking about how Vana Lumumba used to be very much known in politics. That was finance, I think, in ZANU-PF. Remember, Vana Lumumba, Vana Tsenenkamu, you remember them? Where are they today? It's history. You know why? Because they were willing to do wrong on behalf of politicians. Don't do it. Brothers and sisters, it has consequences. Don't say we didn't warn you. Don't say we did not warn you. It doesn't pay, man. Evil does not pay. Guys, evil don't pay. In fact, evil is going to run you down. Your character, the way you interact with people, your mental health. You understand what I'm saying? Even your skin. You can't be beautiful when you're always evil towards innocent people. Okay. Somebody said something so powerful. I think it was like, when you look at these guys, when you say they're looting money, they don't look the money. You know why? Because they're cursed. They will never look the money. You see someone with no money can look better than them because they're under curse. It's not collecting that make you look okay. It's doing the right thing. It's appreciating the little that you have. It's not abusing the next person that makes you look good or successful. No. You can have all the labels in your cupboard and still be miserable. Examples are right in front of you. And I'm sorry, I'm going to mention Chivayo. With all the money he's busy gallivanting and tell people I buy this and I did that. And I know somebody told you lately that I can't bring the V11s here because I have to be I'm respectful. That he was following the person and said, go to Central in any jewelry shop you want and take anything, I'm going to come and pay. I've got the evidence of what he said. And you know what the person said? No, thank you. The big house, you saw it online, right? But it's still divorce. You know why? Because it's not the things that matter. Life is bigger than that. It's how you treat the next person. You treat people the way that you want to be treated. That's what makes you a happy person. Life is bigger than material things. I hope that gets home. I hope so. All right, so moving on. You know, can I tell you something? The God that Chami says praying, I want him. Huh? I want him. Because let me just tell you, like I was saying, evil has got its own way of getting you. Do you know that Monica Mutsvangwa has just turned to Jesus? How many Christians are here? Because when I hear persons, like, all of a sudden, Monica is becoming a preacher, tend to become a preacher. Monica Mutsvangwa is preaching now, preaching Jesus. You know, she makes me wonder when, when the Bible says every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that Jesus is the Lord. you know when, listen, y'all, I feel for people. When I see what's going on in Zimbabwe, my heart bleeds. And it's like, hold on. Hey, evil doesn't pay. Monica, all of a sudden, she's preaching Jesus. I don't know if you guys actually saw a video that's circulating where she was at the funeral speaking and she began to refer to her own personal experience, like what's going on in here, home right now. I'm talking about Monica Mutsvangwa, Chris's wife. Guys, this is why I said I wouldn't want one, except if I'm running a business with my husband, we're good. But to be in the same space, working under the same administration, no thank you. You know why? Because if things go wrong, who is going to be saying, baby, I think you're going to be okay. Are you going to be okay? Because both of you are crying. Imagine getting in the house, you're looking at each other. That one is bleeding. That one is bleeding. It's tough, y'all. It's not wisdom. If God gives me a man who's in politics, I'm not going to put my feet next to that thing. No. At least if he comes home mad, I'm going to be saying, baby, take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Your wife is here. Take it easy. Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm going to say, let me massage your head while we talk and fix the stuff and pray to God for healing and peace. And peace, you understand? That will be me. But it's tough because both of them are bleeding at the same time. But I've told you, when Chris was talking nonsense, I said to people, hold on, I'm afraid. He doesn't see what's coming. Evil does not pay, y'all. What has been happening in Zimbabwe? People are going to pay it heavily. I don't know what to say. This whole political madness is going to pass. This is why I pray that anybody who may have aspirations or ambition to be in politics, I just hope you're not going to use the same route that you are seeing that is causing people pain, of thinking that you can hurt someone to get to the top. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It has consequences. So Monica is bleeding, and I pray for her for healing. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you, Mama. That's why I've said when your husband does wrong, you can tell him at home. I mean, I wouldn't even, God knows my heart. If my husband can be like the way Mutsvangwa does, I'll tell him when he gets home, baby, you're on your own. If you carry on with what you're doing to the people, you're on your own. Because I can't pay for your evil. It's wrong. Stop that. But Wakadzemu Zimbabwe, they shock me. It's like the women of politicians. They can see all the evil and they pretend like they don't see. Gallivanting and doing shopping. Slave queens, your time is coming. It's going to rain big time. Because what you must remember is that the cover is going to fall off. Hey. And remember, the law of sowing and reaping. While the earth remaineth, Genesis 8:22, seed time and harvest shall never cease. As long as we're still alive, seed time and harvest will never cease. It's sad. She's just lost a grandchild. Now she's in the midst of all this turmoil. The son is in prison. But the same systems we said, let's fix our systems. Because let me tell you, if these systems were in order, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. But you guys were behind cheering up on wrong, protecting evil at the expense of the vulnerable. And now today you think it's a joke? No, That's why I said, while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest shall never cease. And the scriptures can never be broken. My family knows, my daddy knows. You want to do wrong, you're on your own. I'm going to tell God I'm not part of it. So that if things go wrong tomorrow, I'm going to say, me, I'm exonerated. God knows I wasn't there. Wrong is wrong. We must stop. People of God, let's fix our country by respecting principles, respecting each other. Everyone is important. This issue of saying people can be killed, beaten up, that's nonsense. We must never blame anyone for actions. We, the people, need to change our hearts. Our hearts need to change. We need to start respecting ourselves. That if violence don't pay, evil don't pay, hatred don't pay, jealous don't pay, greed don't pay, selfishness do not pay. Truth is truth, lie is a lie, wrong is wrong, right is right. That's the only way that we become free. Otherwise, we are going absolutely nowhere. I can tell you, we can still roam around like this. All right, so I don't know the body. Maybe Karina Mujati went after Monica. I know Karina has got a big mouth. As she went after Monica, because these people know each other. They've been working together in all these shenanigans. So she said, "Good morning, Zimbabwe." Monica Mutsvangwa displays the arrogance on another level. As she appeared to be consoling the Kambira family, here again she's being manipulative in a subtle way to garner sympathy towards herself. If you were in that place of darkness, Monica, you could have stayed at home and find your inner self. These ZANU-PF Lacoste arrogant people like Monica have terrible etiquette on how to conduct themselves publicly. They do not know how to behave and where to draw the line, acknowledging that all spaces they might have a chance to speak is not about who they are or their sorrows. Monica, the moment was a celebration of life for Reverend General Kambira, and you should have respected that, not to go on with the wind to try and condition the mourners to focus on your self-made troubles. Maybe you do not know. Zimbabwe, they do not care about your sorrows. Instead, they are in jubilation. Zimbabweans now know that your husband, Neville, and yourself are evil national security threat. Dirty thieving, swines worse than extra darkness, Mnangagwa. Monica, let that your sorrow you claim to be eating, said Monica, let that sorrow, that your sorrow you claim to be eating you from the core finish, you off for all we can, so the nation can move forward. You are a greedy family with too much entitlement. It is all about you, hence trying to take the limelight at a funeral. Shame on you, Monica. My little advice, Monica, maybe to speak to Mary Mbayua. She might be younger than you, but trust me, she's your best to go to for counseling. Mary Mbayua will tell you how best to cope, as when extra darkness, Mnangagwa, swallow you whole. He makes sure... He makes sure he takes you to the bloody cleaners. Trust me, Mary Mbayua's another case study of ED's cruelty to those he once considered darlings, yet dealt with beyond comprehension. Monica, Madam Longhands, please bring back all our national wealth you looted. Please stop lying again that your son is not a thief. He is a blood international terrorist, hence an extortion ID. Your family is unpatriotic, treacherous, and sabotaging our national interests and economy for selfish and greedy gains. Hashtag sellouts. Okay, that's deep. That's a lot. That's a lot. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. Damn. Wow. I'm not celebrating that Chris is going through what he's going through. But for me as a teacher, all I can say is we need to learn from what Chris, Monica, and Neville, the family, are going through. Because honestly, I still believe that the evil that went down against innocent Zimbabweans, it's not just going to go down unchallenged. I'm a firm believer that you can have protection from physical hands, but you cannot get protection from the wrath of God. You see, God is real, y'all. God is real. God is real. Tell you a story. I was working for a company sometime, and I had a very good relationship with my boss. Very good because I was very good in my work. But then the people started to be jealous there, and they caused that relationship a mess. To a point where I ended up resigning from that company because in India, there's a pressure. And I think the worst part is when I lost my mom, it was a lot. So I was like, I can't take this anymore. I left the job. And I remember me and my boss at that time I wanted her to come to my side and she could not, because I was broken. I'm like, can I just come on my side and support me? When she failed to do so, because she was now afraid to say, okay, I've got people who are looking at me and said, I'm kind of having favorism and all, I'm in trouble. I was angry and eventually, like I said, I left. But fast forward, I remember one day she called me, she connected me on Facebook, she said, hey, I lost my job and I don't have a job. Please, I need money to eat. And I remember taking money and transfer money to her. You must remember, Kuti, things that we are going through today, Zimbabwe is going to pass. This era is going to pass, whether people like it or not. Any person who have acquired whatever they have, on a platform of evil, they're going to pay for it. Unfortunately, slay queens, your time is coming. Wow. I'm telling you, all the money that you're stashing in foreign lands, everything is going to fall off. Don't be too comfortable in evil. The Zimbabwe situation is worse because it's on the limelight. It has caused pain and you're not even willing to talk and have negotiations on the table. You're refusing. For that reason, you're going to go down heavily. Unfortunately, because you don't want to listen. And again, the other thing is that when you stay in the camp of the devil, when you allow people to do evil right under your watch, right under your watch, no. Some people, right now, they pretend, in ZANU-PF, they pretend, they say, no, we don't know what's going on. No, we're just there. No, you know what's going on. Because we are keep feeding on evil. Why can't we just say, guys, what we are doing is wrong? All of us calling each other out and say, let's sit around the table. Let's find a solution to our nation. And some people are going to come here with the legal jargon and say to me, oh, dictatorship, what. Listen. Dictatorship is not for animals, it's for human beings. Human beings make a decision to do whatever they want to do. There's nothing going on here except the people who are taking advantage of the weak. So taking advantage of people, you must be told the truth. So if you don't listen, I don't want to hear you like that president from Gabon. Please make noise. We're not going to make noise for you. Because when you keep holding people to ransom, God is going to give them wisdom. He's going to show them the way to bring you down. It's a principle. Don't be too comfortable in wrong. It must stop. Like yesterday, it has to stop. I repeat, the God who can stop the sun, you understand me? The God who can shrink you while you're sitting that you can't stand up. When the time is right, he can do it. That God who can just freeze everybody. He can hold your mind not to think. He did it before. For many people, we're cruel. And there's nothing that's going to stop him from doing it in Zimbabwe. You do it. He's not as weak as you guys think it is. He's just very patient and gentle. Because he's a father. It's a father. Every parent knows. When you love your child, what happens? They can do all the wrong. As a father, you're gentle. But there'll be a time where you said, I've had enough. You understand? I've had enough. But because you're daddy, there's that love of a father. So, okay, I think my child, okay, I'm going to be patient with you. Okay, let me leave you for tomorrow. But then you're going to wake up one day and say, I've had enough. Enough. This is the line that you can cross. That's how God is. He's very patient. The situation in Zimbabwe is definitely in God's hands. He's patient with nonsense, but people are going to go down mercilessly, unfortunately, because they're not willing to humble themselves and say, okay, please, we are sorry. Can we talk? Because we are human, remember? We are human. We can easily forgive. It's painful, but we're human. If they're not willing to do so, they will do. Check other countries what they do. There's always going to be. I was telling you about Senegal earlier, last time. I told you what's happening in Senegal. In Senegal, there's what they call them the group of elders. So these elders are powerful more than the president. So what the elders does is that when there are issues in the country, those elders are the last resort. The president cannot make decisions on his own. He has to be controlled by the elders. Zimbabwe needs to have the same rules. Because completely, I'm sorry to say this, the church, I feel, in my opinion, have failed the people. Because I thought that was going to be the last point of defense, the church to say, hey, because what we are doing, God don't like it. There'll be heavy consequences. Can we do the right thing? But it's like people are afraid. But I don't think across Zimbabwe, if the church were united, coming together, then there was no way ZANU-PF were going to block them, even the army. But we failed to arrange ourselves to be a community of safety and a community of peace and love and classy and unity. We are failing simple principles. I think in the next Zimbabwe, we must have leadership. People that when things are failed with this leadership, they can be able to say, hey, no, this is not allowed, not in this nation. We can't carry on like this. Because what's going on in the country, it's a shame, man. It's a shame. It's a shame that we have to always be the talk of the town. I pray, and I pray that we'll have a better nation moving forward. That's my prayer. The next Zimbabwe, whoever is going to be the leader, whoever that God is going to choose, and I pray that please, you won't be the most powerful people in the city, because we must be able to have a conversation. There's no way. We must be able to talk. Why does it get all these gimmicks and all? Guys, we are tired. We are tired of gimmicks. This country has to move forward, by all means, whether people like it or not. So ZANU-PF again on the spotlight of humiliation and embarrassment, again putting Zimbabwe on the spotlight in the South African context. I can't believe it. That Obet was lying. He lied that they were actually accredited to observe elections in South Africa. South Africa is out here gun blazing and says, stop dragging us into a mess. We did not accredit ZANU-PF to observe our elections again. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. Simple etiquette. Simple. You know, where you know as a person to say, I know who I am, but I don't think I want to be part and parcel of this drama. It's not for me. What is the point? What is the point of putting information that is a lie out there? I mean, we talk of, listen. South Africans don't have time for nonsense. I can tell you facts. These people are classy. They don't have time for nonsense. I don't know how to put it across. You can see them clean, and all the drama that we see, the politics, it's a shame, man. If only they'll be laughing and laughing wow, you think maybe they're fighting? No, these people can laugh together and have a dinner. Yo, you're afraid to even eat together and drink. You can't leave your drink next to, because you're afraid someone can put poison in. You need to start introspecting. Something is wrong in your leadership. You politicians across the board, something's wrong. You need to start introspecting. Your parents, your fathers at home, your brothers, your cousins, your uncles. How do you live in your families? You need to start introspecting. But look, this kind of embarrassment should not happen. And I mean, I'm taking you down from the moral point. You can do all your politics, but I'll tell you, it's an embarrassment to keep on lying and always dragging us into mess. Zimbabweans. Could you guys are lying that you were accredited when you were not? How can they accredit you, considering what's happening in the city? That some of our people are dying crossing Limpopo. You know what I'm saying? So IEC, they are saying, IEC says ZANU-PF not accredited to observe elections in South Africa. Said the Electoral Commission of South Africa, IEC, on Tuesday clarified that it has not invited or accredited Zimbabwe, so ruling party ZANU-PF, as an official observer of the hotly contested May 29 general elections. Remember, hotly, underline hotly, it means this election. Can I tell you, people are saying, some of the political analysts are saying, and also individuals online are saying that this election for South Africa will bring freedom in Zimbabwe. This is what people are saying. You've heard what a lot that's going on between these politicians, which, you know, someone from the ANC and ZANU-PF, you know, their relationship that is just kind of dirty. You know, and they're saying this election will bring freedom in Zimbabwe. Let's see if what they're saying is true. So they say the remarks were made by Chief Executive Officer of the Electoral Commission, Mama Bolo, on Tuesday, after the IEC received a letter from Vuyo Zungula, leader of the African Transformation Movement. Can you see how they respect their institutions? ATM wrote a letter to the IEC immediately when they heard that ZANU-PF is part and parcel of observer missions. And no, hold on. But based on what we heard and what we have seen and what we are seeing currently with the Zimbabweans suffering under the hands of ZANU-PF, They cannot come in here and say they want to observe. What are they teaching you? It's like if your counsel is not beneficial to those closest to you, it's not worth the transporting. You know, Mother Teresa said, if you want to change the world, go back home and love your family. If you want to change the world, go back home and love your family. You can't be going around and say that good love, gallivanting and be lying out, but you're abusing your own family. No, charity begins at home. That's why I always tell girls, when they said I'm dating a married man, I'm like, no, you're in danger. You know why? If he's got love, he must start by loving his family first and honor his wife and his children. So if he can't do that, it means he's not in love with you. He's simply using you. Because if he knows love, he knows that I can respect and honor my wife and I can honor my children. Because he understands those people are so important and close to his heart. But the moment you see him, he has no love in his heart. He's just pretending. It's a fact. So the remarks were made by Chief Executive, so they said, of the Electoral Commission. So in Zungula's letter, seen by IOL, the party leader expressed grave concerns regarding recent reports indicating that ZANU-PF, the ruling party of Zimbabwe, intends to participate as part of an observer mission for the upcoming elections in South Africa. The ATM letter was also addressed to Parliament. Listen, they went to a Parliament. What happened to our Parliament? What happened to our Parliament? Mr. Sangezo Shamangu, what did you do to the Parliament with your bodies? Can you see what other men are doing? You see the difference? You don't have to go to university and have a degree and a doctorate at the University of Harvard to be able to know that this is wrong and this is right. Can you hear other men who stand and protect the territory? Can you see? These are fathers at home. That even they go home, they get respect. But now we have men in Zimbabwe with the nerve to disrespect elders, young women, children, and then the nerve to destroy our parliament and not expect our respect in return. It doesn't work like that. So ATM President Vuyo Zungula, it is imperative that we safeguard, hear that, I underline, it is imperative that we safeguard the integrity of our electoral process. Okay, I think I can even end here, if that's possible. I'm done. Can you see men who protect the territory? It is imperative that we safeguard the integrity of our electoral processes. This is what I'm expecting from ZEC, the judiciary, the police, the army. I'm talking about Zimbabwean army, Zimbabwean police. And I'm saying this and I mean it. Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, the Zimbabwean Judiciary Commission, the ZAC as well, protect the integrity and safeguard the legacy of our country. It's that simple. You don't need to go to university to know that. As simple as that. We are protecting the integrity of our electoral process and uphold the trust of the South African people in our democratic institutions. Allowing ZANU-PF to participate in any capacity would undermine these fundamental principles. Part of Zungula's letter we read. Your Excellency, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, this last part of the letter on its own should speak volumes to the entire ZANU-PF government. This letter should. Heads must roll, heads must roll. Like, honestly, like, people should not even sleep. Like, after reading this, I don't know, please, I can't. People who protects the territory, who knows what they stand for, who are principled. They're not perfect. I was expecting the same thing. Simple, as simple as that. Principles. Reign supreme. And you don't need to go to Harvard and to become a professor to know that this is wrong and this is right. You just need to be someone who was raised well, To know that, no, I can't do this. I can respect my brother. I can't take someone, abducted them, inject them poison, beating them up. I cannot do that. You don't need to have a degree from university to do that. It's time we start reforming our societies. It's time. Let's start from home. Teaching our children how to respect each other, how to love one another, how to build and how to believe in one another. I said we can't keep on blaming the elders. We can start here and building a society that is loving, respectful, united, conscious, humble. A society that prefer the next person, that believe in sharing. You also heard from the beginning, I told you that children are failing at school, at Kwadzana school. 20 to 30 kids, students, daily are failing because they don't have food. And someone has the nerve to take dirty money to sabotage processes that will bring liberty. It's a curse. It's as simple as that. You're cursed. Time will tell. May God bless you and may God bless Zimbabwe. You must not sleep tight. Have a good one. I love you all. Yeah, I love you all. So don't forget, Tikuno Sangana Zimbabwe very soon. Tikuno Sangana Ikoko, whether people like it or not. Tikuno Sangana Ikoko, you heard me. Yeah, Tikuno Sangana Zimbabwe. People like it or not. I love you so much and I love you all. May God bless you. Tikuno sangana ikoko Zimbabwe. Whether they like it or not, tikuno sangana ikoko. Atisizogera mashurega women business. Iko wono kwa tikuno sangana ikoko. Atisikutombozogera mashure. No one, absolutely no one has title deeds to that country. We owe Zimbabweans and we belong to that place. So it's over for the devil. It's over. I love you all and bye for now.